Ich mi moch ma din hewed hu guri hu mu Tai mi roch gan voyach hi mi kalele o hi yura vi o hu guri hu Hanik malen nam hoin ukuri hunu Vuelchin yeda chora gora hiri mi kalele o hiri yura vio ukuri hunu
everybody. A very warm welcome to you all for this February Spotlight session. My name is Laura, this is Kirsty, and we are delighted to have you with us this evening. As always, we'd love to see where you're joining us from, so make sure you drop us a little comment and say hello.
Absolutely, and SC&T Youth is absolutely thrilled to be in partnership with Stonehaven Folk Club and Stonehaven Folk Festival to bring you these spotlight sessions. And tonight we have a very special couple of guests joining us, the incredibly talented Jack Smedley and Adam Brown from the brilliant band RURA, who you just heard.
Absolutely. What a fantastic video that was, by the way. But before we bring on the boys, we'd now like to invite on our fantastic host for this evening, the brilliant Rachel Henderson, all the way from Skye. Hi, Rachel.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Good. Right. Well, enjoy. The floor is yours.
Well, hello, agus falcha hula dunya. Hello and welcome, everyone. As Laura said, I'm Rachel and I'm delighted to be hosting the Spotlight session today. And tonight we're going to be joined by the incredibly talented fiddle player Jack Smedley and guitar and baran player Adam Brown. So, hello, how are you both?
Hello.
Hiya, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
Trying to get my head in the middle here.
We're going to hear about your brand new album, Our Voices Echo, which was released in January. And it has some fantastic guest artists, including Julie Fowlis, Hannah Rarity, Michael McGoldrick, Duncan Chisholm, and Ross Ainsley, which is a brilliant lineup, including yourselves as well. And for those of you at home, we'll also have a Q&A, so make sure to let us know if you have any questions in the comments below. But first of all, let's find out a bit about yourselves. So could you tell us a wee bit about yourselves?
Well, like you said, my name is Jack, and I'm the fiddle player in RURA.
We lost him.
I'll just take over because I think we have actually lost Jack. Oh no, he's back.
Woohoo! Everyone's still okay? Everyone there?
Yeah.
Speak to us,
Adam,
Jack.
I'll let you speak for a second, Adam.
Yep. So I'm not Jack. I am Adam. I am the guitar player in RURA. Guess we're a Glasgow-based band. Jack's signal is clearly not as good as where I am in Glasgow. But myself and Jack, like I say, we play in RURA. We've been playing in the band now for over 10 years. I guess it would be, Jack, is it?
Yeah, I know. I can't believe that. It was 10 years and then COVID and things happened, and the past 2 years have just gone past in the blink of an eye, haven't they? So 12 years. Which is crazy.
Well, thank you very much. Now we'll move on to the topic of tonight. So let's hear a wee bit more about the making of your new album and the journey and ideas behind bringing it to life.
Well, I guess the project is one that we've spoken about for a long time, isn't it, Adam? Like we've always had these chats in the van and all the rest of it when we've been talking about different projects or albums we could get involved in. And I think with life being what it was last year, and the diary being empty, we thought we'd really try and take advantage of it and make the project happen, and reached out to the 5 people that we ended up working with, and luckily they all said yes. Adam, you could maybe talk about...
Yeah, I guess something we really wanted to get across on the album, like Jack said, we all used to listen and share a lot of music amongst ourselves in the band, and new tracks of artists that we liked that had come out, and it was a perfect time to do sort of a little record with some of these heroes of ours, because we had the time, and luckily everyone we asked said yes. And well, I think they did, Jack. I don't know. I mean, Michael Jackson, yeah. It just was a solid no. But no, it was a cool time to do it, and we not only did we have the 5 guests, but we got to work with some amazing other musicians, James Lindsay on the bass and Scott McCarr on the drums, who we do a lot of other work with. So it was nice to do some recording with them as a bigger sound, tying over from sort of our 10-year anniversary gig where we had a big string section and we had extra bits in. So it was nice to have some of those lads back in as well. Yeah,
and it was good to I guess make a record and get into the studio and not worry about performing it live, wasn't it? We were that's why we ended up getting you know, electric guitar and bass and drums and just kind of throwing all the toys at it, because other than the Celtic Connections show, which was a complete surprise, the plan was never to perform this music live. It was all about getting into the studio and collaborating with these artists. So there was never any. I guess the shackles were off in that sense. We weren't worrying about the four of us just, you know, making a record and then not being able to actually replicate it live. You know, we were just in making music for the sake of it and enjoying it, which was a really refreshing process, I think, to go through.
Yeah, but it was also, we still had a bit of the hangover of, because we had dates booked in, but then Duncan became unwell, and there was a lot of tying it in. Although we had a lot of time to do it, it still was quite hard to get that many people all available at the same time to do the actual recording of it. And I think there was one week where I missed out because I was unwell or something like this. So we still very much had that in the back of the mind, but it all seemed to come together quite well, and we got it done.
Got it over the finish line.
Well, thank you very much for that. That was very interesting. And there's obviously so much creativity and work that goes into creating an album. And if anyone is interested in buying any of RURA's albums, you can head over to their website on www.rura.co.uk. And remember, if you have any questions for Jack or Adam, to type them in the comments below. And I think there's a hello from Berkeley, CA, over in America at the moment. So we have some people. And I think we'll move on to a few questions for you. So what made you choose to work with those musicians, the five main ones?
Well, I think the thing was we wanted this record to be as accessible as possible within our scene. So we wanted it to be really broad. We wanted to try and capture music that would maybe echo or like resonate with lots of different people, lots of different age groups. So when we started having those discussions, you know, Mike McGoldrick is obviously more from the Irish world, and then we've got singer-songwriter sound with Hannah there. We've got Julie doing Gaelic song. Duncan's obviously Duncan with his incredible Highland fiddle stuff. Ross, we've got that more rocky pipe thing in there, you know. So we just sat down and really thought, right, what are the kind of pockets of influence that we could maybe try and tap into here? And then start discussing who we'd want to do that with. And I mean, Adam will probably tell you as well, but the names just sort of landed instantly, didn't they? And,
yeah, well, we had a short Zoom meeting amongst ourselves to try and put some names together, and we all brought forwards about 5 names, and I think they nearly matched up on everyone's sheet. So it was pretty effortless in that sense. I think we were like keen after our last studio record to maybe do something with a bit of song, because we'd done spoken word on the last album. We didn't have any songs, obviously. So it was nice to think of again putting RURA to some more lyrical stuff, if that makes sense.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, and another question is, what made you choose those tunes and songs?
Well, we sat and so once we had the artists we wanted to, or we had an idea of the artists we wanted to do, we actually then went through all the back catalogues and again just got together lists of the ones we really liked, or as well in some of the people's cases ones we felt that we would do a good job of. Mike, there was Mike's stuff in particular for us. There was sets of hits that I'd loved since I was a kid, so there was tunes you had a good idea in your head of a version you would love to do of that tune with the person. But with Ross, I think there was more of the sort of almost the idea of writing tunes and music together. Jack, would you say that was?
Yeah, I think Ross's was definitely the most collaborative of all the tracks, in that we did sit in the studio and bounce a bunch of ideas around. Whereas with most of the other artists, it was a case of us maybe honing in on a few options that we really wanted to work on, and then taking it from there. But that was one of the things, I've said this a few times on interviews and stuff, that one of the things I enjoyed most about this project was actually having to go back and listen to all the albums and stuff that these artists have made over the years, because you actually forget how much music these people have written or recorded and released, and actually how good it is. And you just, well, I'm very guilty of just, I just don't listen to it enough, you know. So it was amazing to have an excuse to do that. And yeah, like Adam said, we've all, in RURA, the four of us do have an ear now for stuff that we know is going to suit the band or that we can work on quite easily. So we're just trying to pick that out, pick those wee moments out on records and stuff, and see if we could maybe take an idea forward from there.
Well, thank you. That's very interesting. And the next question is, what was your process on the ones you did compose, the tunes, of composing and arranging the sets?
Well, go on, Jack, if you've got something.
Well, I was just going to say it involved a lot of Adam and I sitting in my flat in Glasgow and just going round multiple options and ideas, and I've got a wee kind of very small recording set up at mine, so we were able just to layer up lots of ideas, weren't we? And
yeah, that's something on the last two albums we've done, because we're all individually probably not as available as we used to be. Sometimes it's twos or threes of us meet up, and but that's cool that these days we can also get a pretty good impression of what it's going to be like before we get into the studio, so we can lay stuff down beforehand, so we're not just going in blind, but we can, especially with some of the stuff and effects and other ideas we like to have in the background, we can have a sort of a dry run to see if that idea is going to work, if there's anything in that, and have a sort of a mock-up version of it before going in. So when we are in, we can have fewer days, but they're more controlled, and we've got a better picture in our mind of what we want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like there was a whole set that we had for Ross that Adam and I had recorded and layered up, and we didn't use any of it. So, you know, and that does happen quite a lot in the process, that you go quite far down the road exploring a track or a few tunes or different ideas, and then all of a sudden it just gets ditched because you just end up going in a different direction with it. And I think
what we found the last couple of times as well, it's sometimes we do something on the first week or month we're coming together, and you just forget about it for a while, but then you go back and you're like, oh no, there maybe was some serious legs in that, and you have to go back and revisit it. But like we both said, it's just nice to have it down, so we have the option of going back.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. And the last question is, who inspired you musically when you were growing up?
Well, it's awkward that Jack's sitting here with me to say it, but
Thank you.
You're very welcome. The check's in the post. No, it's like I grew up playing a lot of Irish music, and I'm, as an accompanist, the like all the obvious things like Mike's band, sort of Fluke, Sharon Shannon's band, all of these sort of things, from a backing perspective, they were always so massive, and so that was what always used to inspire me, going to the festivals in the summer and seeing bands on these big stages and hearing how big that sound was live, and then as well seeing sort of the stripped back versions of that when there was only 4 people on stage, but there'd be thousands of people watching this band, and just trying to imagine yourself in those scenarios, and to get a chance to recreate some of that music that you saw as a kid with these people was just really cool.
Yeah, I think as well, like I'd probably be this similar, but because I grew up in a completely different part of the country to Adam, like I grew up in the northeast of Scotland, so in terms of traditional music, I was obviously playing a lot of music from that part of the world, and then I remember in my kind of mid-teens seeing bands like Fiddler's Bid and Blazing Fiddles, and Unusual Suspects were one as well, that, you know, they were kind of the first like folky gigs that I probably went to, and they were the ones that I remember triggering that thing in my head of going, oh, I really want to be a musician. And it was the same experience of Adam, of when you saw it live and you saw the energy in the room and how much people were enjoying it. I think that's kind of when I first started going, I really want to try and get involved in that world. And probably all of those fiddle players and musicians that were associated with those bands are people that informed my playing when I was young as well.
Well, thank you very much. I do have another final question from one of my friends, a fiddler called Rihanna from Flockton, and hers was, what's your most embarrassing moment as a band?
Oh.
I don't know.
We've got quite a long list, so I actually do think I have it though, Jack, and it's a good clean story as well, so don't worry.
Well, that's perfect. You go for
it. 2 years ago, just before the pandemic, Jack, myself, and the lads, we found ourselves in New Zealand being asked to take part in this very moving and emotional opening ceremony. And what we didn't realize is that they were going to ask everyone to perform a song.
Oh man, that was really bad. Yeah.
And of course, we don't sing. And the deal was that no one was getting out of this Maori temple until every visiting band had performed something. And had we known this, we would have taken some instruments, but we didn't. And we were pretty jet lagged and had quite a big one the night before. And we sat in this temple, and some of the most amazing like a cappella singing from bands from all around the world was taking part. And we thought, if we just stay quiet at the back, they'll just skip over us. But they didn't. And right at the death, the main organizer of this festival in New Zealand said, and I think we have RURA from Scotland at the back who are going to now come forwards and deliver something. And we had no idea what we were going to do. So Jack saved the day, wouldn't you say, Jack?
I know. I think I literally had to switch my Wi-Fi on or something, or my data on my phone, which in New Zealand probably cost me about 40 quid or something. And I just like had to read out a little bit of a Robert Burns poem. That's all I could. That's all I had on the spot. But the four of us had to walk into the middle of this room and actually say something. And like Adam said, everyone else that had been, this is not even a joke, everyone else that had been involved in performing that day was amazing, and like all singing in incredible harmony and all the rest of it.
People in tears.
Oh,
like life-changing, moving performances, and we just skimmed up there all pasty in the shorts.
It was so, it's terrible. It was really disrespectful. But anyway,
it's horrendous. Yes, we're not allowed in.
Well, thank you very much. That was a good story, and thank you for answering all the questions. And
You're welcome.
to everyone from Flockton that helped me with the questions, thank you. Before we go, let's hear one more track from RURA, and this is The Decade. was great. And now, unfortunately, it's time for us to say goodbye for the night. And a huge thank you to Jack and Adam for joining us. And thank you to our lovely viewers for joining us as well. And we'll be back in March for our next Spotlight session. And I hope you have a great rest of your night. Goodbye.
Thanks very much, Rachel.
Cheers.